Okay, avoiding academic malpractice, plagiarism, collusion, and poor academic practice. It always makes me sad when I spend time marking and then we get the results back and it's less than the people that we've passed because there's some malpractice in there. We do pick malpractice up, and also bear in mind that as an examiner or a marker, I might be marking 100, 200, 300 scripts. I've read it before. If you've copied off someone else, I've probably just read their script. So the likelihood of me picking up plagiarism or collusion is very high. So it's not just relying on the markers. You tend to have, we try and get people marking all of the papers, but we standardize the marking and it's picked up. It does get, we have discussions about this all the time. So it is very sad that you feel the need to, or not you personally, that sounds like I'm accusing you, but people feel the need to cheat, basically. That's what it is, it's cheating. So sometimes plagiarism can happen because you don't realize you're doing it or you don't understand what it is. So basically, do not copy someone else's work ever. Just don't do it. Don't copy it. Make sure if you're putting a quote or copying a piece of text from a textbook or from another article, that you put it in quotation marks and you cite it and you reference it. What you're doing is you're making clear to the marker what you're writing, your voice is, and what is the voice of others. Okay, what other people have said. So this is how I'm explaining it, but this is what someone else said, and I'm quoting that. The referencing helps you to acknowledge the source of your work, and it does help you demonstrate evidence. So there are marks in that, but don't give me pages and pages of quotes, because I can't give you marks for that. Cite the work within your writing, so the author and the date. So Hackman 2002 said, and then add the source to your reference list. And I've given an example of a reference there. So it's important, if you are using someone else's work, that you cite it and you reference it, because that way you're not plagiarizing and you're not copying someone else's work. You are acknowledging that you are using someone's work within your answer to the question. Collusion is still a form of cheating. So even if you're not copying from someone else, it does mean that you've planned a response with someone else, and it's using a plan, a copied plan, or a template to frame your answer. Now, we have had occasions in the past where centres have provided students with a framework of how to answer the question. So in task 2, you need to mention X, Y, and Z, and they've actually given them almost like subheadings, fill in underneath in your own words. The problem with that is when everyone in the centre does it, it becomes really obvious that collusion has taken place. And what's even worse is if you're given the wrong direction and you put the wrong information in or answer the question wrongly, everyone gets it wrong, which is even worse. It's like you're actually you're making a plan to fail together, which is very sad. So don't copy a template. Don't use someone else's framework. Write your own plan, write your own work, and avoid plagiarism by paraphrasing someone else's work. But don't just change words around, because it's still cheating. You know, if you're like, oh, well, you've written the sentence like that, so I'll write it very differently. So I'll use exactly the same thing, but I'll just write it in different words. It still gets picked up. It still gets noticed because the structure's the same. And it does take two to collude. So if you allow someone else to copy your work or to use the framework of your work and collude with you, you will fail too. So even if you're not the one cheating, if you're the one who's done the work and put all that effort in, if you let someone else copy off you, you will fail too. And that is just, that's criminal, isn't it, really? If someone else has been too lazy to do the work and copy off yours, you failing because of them, oof, that's not something I would be happy with. So don't let other people read your work. Don't give your work to someone else and don't give them the answer, and don't do the work for someone else. Do your own work and leave it at that. Okay, don't collude. Poor academic practice is kind of like that grey area where it may be that you're quite a new student, you're learning how to do these things, you're not quite sure. There may be a low level of duplication, there may be some citations. This might be due to an error or carelessness. You may have meant to put quotation marks in and you didn't, or you've forgotten to do it. But if you're passing off ideas as if they were your own, then you're into poor academic practice. So you need to make sure that you cite and reference quotes. Even if you're synthesizing someone else's ideas, putting it into your own words, make sure you cite that Hackman date says, and put it in your own words. That's fine, but just go back to the fact that it was Hackman's idea, or whoever's idea it was, doesn't have to be Hackman. Acknowledge the reuse of your own work. So I've had the situation where students have gone through their different levels, so level 4, level 5, they get to level 6. They're copying stuff from a previous paper that they've answered maybe 2 levels back. You have to quote your own work. So as an author, I've written 40 odd books. I have to quote myself in my books that I'm writing to avoid plagiarism, to avoid plagiarizing myself. So don't do it. And think about it this way: everything that you write contributes to the wider academic community. So the paper that you write is adding something to the body of knowledge that already exists. So just by answering your paper, you're contributing to the academic community, which is amazing. So don't allow yourself to fall into the trap of cheating, because we value your contribution. So it's not just about passing an exam or an open book exam or an assignment. Actually, you're contributing to academic thinking, which is really exciting. And who knows, one day you might be like me and end up as an academic and write your own books. So it's really good practice.